Did I fall again? That definitely hit a lot of levels. What are the biggest questions that we need answered to start the 2021 NFL season? Or better yet, answers that we will need at some point in the 2021 NFL season. I've jotted down a bunch of them. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to start rolling down the list. And Stefan, you tell me when you want to stop and we'll have a little sidebar on it.
All right. We'll decide when it's time to kind of jump in and talk about your crazy list.
Exactly. Number one on my list, this won't come as a surprise to you, is Tua good? Can he take the next step? However you want to frame the question, that is one of the biggest questions of the NFL season. Obviously, I think for everybody.
I think it's a legitimate question. I wouldn't call it one of the biggest questions of the season, but I think it's a legitimate question.
Will Deshaun Watson play at any point in the NFL season? I think that's one of the biggest questions that we face.
Yeah, I think that we can take a pause on that one because I think that's a huge question. Not just for him as a player, but also for the league. It's a big question, and what they're going to do in terms of how they're going to keep him from playing or how they're going to insist that he does get to play. For other teams who need a quarterback and would love to stick their fingers into Deshaun Watson, but won't touch him with a 20-foot pole right now. I think that is a very big question that needs to be answered at some point in time during the season.
And right now, it's the Houston Texans that are answering the question early on. They're the ones that are taking care of it. The NFL has not stepped in yet. What happens? Do we have anything that happens in the favor of us getting any more information, good or bad, for Deshaun Watson? I don't know if that's going to happen or if he's just going to be inactive throughout the course of the season. But
that would just be crazy to me. That would be crazy for him to spend the entire season being inactive, not even dressing, and not being on the exempt list. That would be wild.
Now, I know this is a question for the guy that comes on before us. Can Aaron Rodgers keep it together in Green Bay for one more year?
I think he might be the only person outside of Green Bay that really cares about that question.
Yeah, fair. I'm honestly, and I love Colin Cowherd, he's getting to the point where if he talks about Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers one more time, I might email him. Next question on my list. Will Tom Brady at any point in this season actually finally look old?
That is a huge question because if he doesn't, man, what are we going to do with the rest of this season in this league? And I'm not predicting that if he doesn't look old, he's going to win a Super Bowl championship again. But, man, the odds are favored they are on his favor, right? And all of the other teams out there are dying for him to finally look old so that they can prepare for him to be old, because otherwise it's just going to be rough, especially out there for people in the NFC.
Great defense, great receivers.
Yeah.
If he's not old, he's the GOAT. That's a tough spot for everybody that's going up against them. Can J.J. Watt actually help the Cardinals become an elite team? Is that a big question for you?
No, I don't care about whether J.J. Watt is.
Next one. How much will COVID impact the 2021 season?
Giant question. Probably the top one or two questions that you got on the list, because we're looking at COVID right now as if it's not going to be a big deal because it's only affected preseason and in between preseason games. Hasn't really affected the preseason fully yet. But as we start getting into this season and people who are unvaccinated start getting tested every day and they start popping up positive, or people who are tested aren't getting those negative tests in time to make the game again, or the first team that has a legit outbreak like Tennessee was trying to get the ball rolling all over again, it's going to make a difference. And once you start forfeiting games, it's going to be a problem.
Well, the thing I'm curious about is whether it's going to be a bigger issue, if it's an issue at all. And hopefully it isn't. Hopefully we just have a couple of moments here and there, and then we're able to get past it, and we all have a bright future ahead of us, because I, like the rest of you, am sick of this. But is it a bigger problem for the players and the teams or the fans? Because right now we're ushering in a bunch of fans into the stadium.
Yes.
We're all focusing on what this could do to potential record for teams, forfeits, and things like that, unvaccinated players. But what about the thousands upon thousands of people that are in attendance? If that ends up spiking something in our society, we're in a big problem than if the Cowboys can't play one Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. And then on top of that, it's gonna be hard to figure out because we're not doing what we were doing before. We're not doing any contract tracing. We're not doing any quarantining. I don't care what y'all say. You're not quarantining. You're getting COVID. You're staying home for 2 days and then you're going back to work. I've seen you. I hear you coughing. I can tell you can't breathe. But we're not doing all of the things that we were doing before. And so unless there's some gigantic, super spreader that you can track back to this game at this time in this space, it's going to be hard to figure out because college football, pro football, people are doing everything back to the way we were doing it before. I don't know. It's a huge question for the NFL season.
Fingers are crossed. How long will it take for us to see Trey Lance and Justin Fields as the starting quarterback for their respective teams?
Yeah, I think those are pretty big questions. On the realm of how big, probably a good 5 out of 10, because those two guys, when they're ready and they know they're ready, are going to make a huge impact on their franchises. And I know the franchises are pawing for it right now.
Yes, so much fun to watch. I'm excited for that to finally happen. Last one, does Big Ben have anything left? Because last year, it looked like the answer was no, but they're still trotting him out as their starting quarterback in a division that's really tough to win. They've got a good defense. They have what I would think would be a run game now that they drafted Najee Harris, great running back out of Alabama. But if Big Ben's not any good, then none of that matters.
Yeah, I think that is a big question, especially for anybody that claims to be a Steelers fan. And people who've got to go through the AFC.
Did you hear that? He said claims to be a Steelers fan. That was on purpose.
And anybody that's got to go through the AFC, because if the Steelers start out like they did last season or finish out like they did last season, it's going to make a difference. And Big Ben is going to be the catalyst to all of that.
And those are the biggest questions as we enter into another NFL season. Coming up next, a new feature of actfromatnetwork.com. We've got Raheem Palmer, who's going to join us from that website. He tells us where public money and smart money lies for Bucks Cowboys on Thursday night.